Hi guys, this is Tom from Mac Arms. I appreciate you joining me again. This is going to be part 2 of my series on gun myths and misconceptions in the firearms industry and firearms with society. Let's go ahead and get started with my very first one, which is bullets cause the recoil that I feel. So when you have a pistol or a rifle, my demonstration is going to be with a pistol today, but a lot of people think that bullets are going to be what's causing the recoil. So when the bullet fires, that's the recoil that you feel. Now, fortunately, that is not the case, because if that was the case, when the bullet fires, then you feel the recoil, the bullet's not out of the gun yet. And so that means that you would be firing way into the sky every single time. You wouldn't be able to hit anything 10 feet in front of you. What you actually feel is going to be all the pressure and the gases that are built up inside. Once the bullet leaves the muzzle, the bullet is already in negative acceleration. It's slowing down a second it leaves that. So when the bullet's out, all that gas that's built up explodes out the muzzle, and that's going to be the pressure that you feel from the 30,000 psi's or close to it. And so I did a little bit of calculations. For those of you guys that are interested, I'm going to make this as fast as I can and non-technical as I can. But if you have the 115 grain bullet, which is about a 9mm FMJ, that's going to equal about 0.007 kilograms. And so when you do all the calculations of the acceleration of the bullet coming out of the muzzle, it equals about a little over 3,000 newtons of force that the bullet is going to have on the gun. So it's going to be pushing back at about 3,300 newtons of force. So the gun, fortunately, has something called inertia built into it, which is another physics law. So inertia is an object's ability to resist a change in motion. So when I have this pistol at a standstill rest, the bullet's going to try to push back on it, but the gun's going to resist the change in motion. And by how much? I weighed out a SIG 229 for this Elite that's fully loaded, and all the calculations said that it was about over 400,000 newtons of force. So the gun is going to put 400,000 newtons of force on the bullet. The bullet's only putting 3,000 newtons of force. So it equals about 131 times the force that the gun is putting on the bullet. So in layman terms, I calculated it out with a real life type of event. So if you have a 200-pound person running 5 miles an hour in this direction, you have a commercial size city bus coming at 5 miles an hour the other direction. When they hit each other, the trajectory of the bus is not going to change all that much. And it's basically the same principle that is working the firearm. So it's the explosion that we feel of all the excess gases that are escaping the muzzle of the gun. Misconception number 2 is going to be how guns kill people. Now there is a mass society out there that thinks that guns kill people, and unfortunately they're missing a couple really big factors with this. This one does kind of make me laugh sometimes, and I always ask them if I have anybody. I really try not to argue with them, but I always ask them, can you explain to me how a gun kills somebody? And then they always go on and explain, well, they look at me like I'm retarded, and they say, okay, well, the gun shot and killed. And I was like, explain to me how a gun shoots. And so they have to get into, eventually, the major parts of somebody's behind that gun, and they have to do 2 really big main things. They have to aim in at somebody, and they also have to pull that trigger. So when all's said and done, it's somebody that's controlling that. And again, you're going to have people that are, oh, well, guns make it easy to kill, and guns are designed to kill. And I'm like, well, how many times in life have you used things differently than they're designed to? You can take, for an example, a butter knife. A butter knife is designed to spread butter over some bread. But I can use it as a gardening tool to dig. I can use it as a catapult. I could use it, unfortunately, maybe some people might try to hurt somebody with them. So isn't that the case with just about, well, a lot of things, maybe not everything, but a lot of things. It's how you use something. We use things all the time differently than they're designed for. But anyway, that's a whole different argument. But anyway, guns do not kill people if I was to lay this gun down, now I know this one's plastic, okay, so go with me on this. But if this was a real gun, I could lay it down on a table. I could stare at it for weeks, years, months. This gun will never kill anybody by itself. It has to have somebody behind it that's going to aim it and pull that darn trigger. Anyway, that's my misconception number 2. Misconception number 3 goes along again with Newton's third law of motion, and that is made famous by Hollywood, is when you have a shotgun and you fire it at somebody in the movies, they fly 20 to 30 feet back. It looks, from a Hollywood standpoint, looks awesome, looks powerful. That's what it's supposed to look like. You have all this power and revenge or whatever they're doing in the movie, and it looks cool when they blow them 20 or 30 feet across the room. However, unfortunately, this does not work in real life. And fortunately, is what I meant to say. Fortunately, it doesn't work that way, because if you think about it, Newton's law states for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if I'm going to knock somebody by that shotgun force-wise 20 feet in that direction, I have to be knocked back 20 feet in the opposite direction. That wouldn't be very fun to fire on somebody, or a target anyway. But in the movies, again, looks very cool. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it very informative. And if I offended anybody, I apologize for that. But I wanted to get some information out there that maybe was possibly a little bit more accurate than some of the people hear from hearsay or other things. And please remember, don't let anyone ever tell you how and when you can defend yourself. I'm Tom from Mac Arms. I'll see you next time for my AR-15 build.